secondary art students. This is this week's lesson on art history. Today should be May 4th, but maybe you're not working on May 4th. You have all week to do this. But our art history person this week is probably another person you haven't heard of. 2 weeks ago we did John Singer Sargent, and then last week we did Anders Zorn. And today's artist falls into that same genre. They're artists that adopted some ideas of Impressionism but aren't truly Impressionists. They're younger than the French Impressionists that we know of, Monet and Renoir and those artists. These guys are younger, but they had a very similar style. They were friends, they knew each other. And this week's artist is Sorolla. It looks like Sorolla, but in Espanol, they pronounce that double L as a Y. So this is Joaquin Sorolla y Bastida. So we're just going to call him Sorolla at this point. But he is a Spanish artist. He was born in 1863, around the same time Singer Sargent and Zorn were born. They had a very similar style. They knew each other. They were friends, as I said. But Sorolla was born in 1863 in Valencia, Spain, or they might pronounce it Valencia, Spain. And that's a beachy town. And his parents died when he was very young, too, and he was orphaned, he and his sister, and they were raised by an aunt and uncle. And early on, Sorolla showed promise in the area of art, and his aunt especially encouraged this. And by the age of 15, he was already working towards education in the arts. So he went to school there in Valencia. By 18, he traveled to Madrid and studied at an art school there. He was classically trained, just like Sargent and Zorn were classically trained. And he spent some time in the Museo de Prada, which is the big museum over there, the National Museum. And he studied the masters. He copied master copies, much like many of our famous artists from the past had done. He was a huge fan of Velázquez and Goya, who were also Spanish artists. So he tried his hand at copying some of their paintings to become a better painter himself. And at 22, he received a grant to paint in Rome. So he spent 4 years in Rome studying under some artists in Rome and crafting and honing his skills as a painter. And he started out doing some very realistic, almost photographic kind of painting. He was classically trained and could do these very beautiful, realistic pictures. I'm going to show you an example here. He could definitely paint just like he was making a photograph of something. And it wasn't until after 1900 that he started to develop kind of his own style. He was a master at depicting light. He could see light better than a lot of people and just know immediately what colors could make up a lighted scene. Kind of like Zorn could do firelight, he could do sunlight. Sorolla liked to go to the beach and do these beach scenes of people in the water and everyday Spanish life and activity, and paint in plain air, just like his friends Sargent and Zorn. But he could stand out there and paint very quickly, and became a master at that, and had many paintings commissioned. He had many paintings bought by other countries. And in 1911, he was commissioned to do a mural in the Hispanic Society of America in their library building there, and I have a picture of that too. It was a kind of considered his greatest masterpiece. It was a huge series of mural paintings of Spanish life called The Vision of Spain, and he became very, very famous for that and was very proud of his work with that. Like Sargent, he also painted a president's portrait, but he's mostly known for his ability to depict light in such a beautiful way in everyday Spanish scenes, and I'm going to show you some more examples of some of my favorites. But his ability to master light, hence the title of this book, Spanish Master of Light, he could just see the colors necessary to depict an outdoor scene. So in 1920, Sorolla had a stroke, and it left him paralyzed, and he only lived 3 years after that. He died in 1923, August of 1923, at the age of 60, and he's buried in Spain. And the 2 videos I'm going to have you watch this week are one, a little documentary about him and a special exhibition that was held in the United Kingdom. The other one doesn't involve any talking, it's just music set to images of his home and studio in Madrid. Very interesting. They even show pictures of his paint palette and his brushes and things like that. So I hope you enjoy both of those. They're both very short. I could certainly sit here and talk forever about some of these artists. I'm very passionate about them, but I know your time is limited. But if you want to search more things out on any of these artists, I'd be happy to give you some other information or places to seek, or do your own research. These are some of my favorite artists, and they're not always very well known, but you know, they kind of serve that time between the Impressionist movement, the Monets, the Renoirs, Degas, and all those artists that were a little older than these guys, and you know, modern art was kind of coming on the scene, so they got kind of lost in the mix. But they're really talented and special artists that I'm happy I got this opportunity to explain some things about them. I hope you come to appreciate them. But watch the 2 videos, answer the questions, and if anyone's interested in getting some more information, I would love to tell you more about them. You know, I think of Jaume over there in Spain, who's doing a great job on his grid drawing. I know Sorolla is kind of a hometown hero over there in Spain, and I hope you'll come to appreciate his work. So have a good week in art history.